who is probably 90 and 100 years old. You will see the story of life. So you see the story of life. You see the dates of how long they have lived written on the skin. It is nice that when people are growing, they will put pomade, they put powder. In the early stages of life, the powder will fit very well. But in later stages, when the old age has actually caught up with people, you see that when you even apply the pomade and the powder, they go their different ways. The powder will go a different way. The skin will go a different way, and discover that they don't have a place to meet. May Allah be praised for what he has shown to us as human beings that is far, far ahead and above what we describe him to be. Allahu Akbar. So aging is inevitable, and it is the single most important modulator of human lifespan and health span. It is unavoidable. If life goes on, aging is unavoidable. All of us see around us elderly people, and we have many more of them right now because of increase in life expectancy. People are able to eat better things now, and even though stress is much, but at the same time, maybe somehow, somewhere, push me, I push you, we're able to move on. Aging is a complex, multifaceted process that affects individuals physically, biologically, psychologically, and emotionally. It's a complex but compulsory and irreversible process in the life of man. If life goes on, you must taste aging. The process of aging can be explained by some changes in the hormonal secretions of the body, leading to visible and invisible changes in the body. So what I've said now is that you will age if life goes on. As long as you are alive, you are aging. Your seconds will become minutes, your minutes will become hours, hours will become days, days will become weeks and months, months will become years, and you begin to count 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 25 years, and so on and so forth. All of these will leave their telltale signs on your systems biologically, physiologically. And towards the end, and somewhere along the line, you have emotional and psychological dates of the age on the process and the well-being that you have. Biologically, when life began, you probably were inside helpless. And Allah has told us that at the two ends of life, you could become helpless. Helpless when you were born, people will have to fend for you. You live life to a ripe old age, you become helpless again. And you have to be carried like you were carried when you were born. It's not because your eyes were not there that you will not see. It's not because that your legs are not there that you're not able to stand up, but because the powers that were there initially, the powers that were not there initially when you were born to stand up and run, that were later returned back to the legs and the hands, will be withdrawn again if you grow to an old age and you then become like you were in the first instance. So this is the cycle of life. Biologically, it has been explained that as you age, you have a lot of changes inside you. Like a new car that you just buy. If you just bought a car, when you start it, and you enjoy it and you cruise around, after about 6, 8, 12, 18, 24 months, you visit the mechanic for the first time. Then you have to buy something, and then they change something, and then they remove something, and then they add something. And then when your car gets older, particularly those of us who buy a car that has been used for 10 years, and we say we buy a new car, you know that from day one, you may begin to spend, and you may spend endlessly, particularly if you fall into the wrong hand, and people have sold to you what should have not been sold to you. So the car age on and on, like your body age on and on. So the eyes that started work from inside your mother's womb will walk and walk and walk to the present time until death do you part with your eyes. The heart will pump and pump and pump and pump. The liver will digest and digest and digest. the glands of the body will secrete and secrete and secrete. And of course, when these cycles are going on, those things are also getting older. Therefore, we have what we call cellular damage. So as we get older, we have cellular damage accumulation. Aging results from accumulation of damage within the cells, leading to loss of function, cellular death, and sometimes deterioration in the functions of these cells. What do I mean? Your eyes are populated with cells. Your liver populated with cells. The simple example that I'll give to all of us tonight is that the red portion of your blood is the color of what we call the red cell, red blood corpuscle. That is what gives the blood the red color. Allah Azza wa Jalla removes the red cells. If a red cell is produced today, in 120 days, Allah will remove all of them and they are replaced all over again. A red cell has a span of 120 days. So let's imagine how many red cells Allah has produced in you at the age of 30, 40, 50, 60, and the production goes on and on. Now, these cells are produced from the bone marrow, from the liver, and so on. So, which means that they are on duty every day. Every day when you eat, your liver will have to produce digestive enzyme. Every day that you take some toxic things, that of course, most of the things we eat, some of them are useful to the body, some of them are not useful to the body. It is the liver that suffer to make sure that it separates the chips from the chaff. You separate the good ones and the bad ones, so the good ones are absorbed and the bad ones are excreted either in urine or in stool. So your liver is every day working, particularly those people whose mouth must never be empty. So it means you are digesting on and on and on and on. So these liver cells continue to work, and of course, they get tired too. They have an expiry date, and when that happens, the number of functional cells in your liver reduces to some extent. In the kidney, in the eyes, in the legs, in the liver, in the lungs, and the heart. They get older too, like you. And the dates and age of your internal organs are written on your skin. So you have deterioration in the functions of the system. Then you have sometimes loss of function due to cellular deaths. And when you add all of this together, you have a general cellular degradation and have loss of function. Now, physiological reserve become declined. Of course, when we are young, you can jump fences, can run 100-meter run, 1,000-meter dash, you can run on a bicycle, you can jump from the fence, you can eat 10 wraps of amala. You are able to do that because as at that time, you have several elastic states of your system. The elastic limit is not close. You have probably an unending elastic limit. You eat on and on, you eat rice, you eat amala. When you eat 2 wraps of amala, you can still take more money too. You can take a whole bottle of whatever, and so on and so on. But as time goes on, you discover that you are not able to do that. Why? The physiological reserves will decline. You will no longer be able to make your organs go the hog that they used to go. Our organs and systems have a spare capacity known as physiological reserve, which declines with age, impacting bone density, reaction time, and a lot more. So what you used to do with ease may become less easy for you to do as you get older because certain factors have come into play and you will less be able to cope as you used to cope. So you can compare a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 50-year-old. Sometimes if you have nature on your side, as Allah said, Quran chapter 23, verse 10 describes it all. Allah says from the beginning to the end, as you get older, you continue to have the dates of your life written on all the organs of your system. So people have problems with their eyes, people have problems with their legs, pain in the legs, arthritis, diabetes, hypertension, and a lot of things, sight impairment, hearing impairment. It depends on where this age catches up with you. If it catches up with you in your ears, you say, eh? Every time you say, eh? You catch up with your eyes, then you see Ojo and Kolima, If you catch stuff with you with your head, you begin to forget things. If you catch stuff with you at your joints, you begin to say arthritis, and say, you know, you have a pain either in the neck or in the leg or in the ankle or in the elbow, because at every joint you have bones, you have muscles, you have nerves, you have the cushions of the joint. Those things also are cells which have lived life with you for the number of days and months and years that you have lived. They have also been wearied by the efforts that you have put into them. In the years gone by, our fathers and mothers and great-grandmothers and fathers, they traveled kilometers and miles to buy wares for them to sell, for us to have been able to attend schools. So some of them travel. I remember my mother told me that it covered the distance of 5 miles every day. So if somebody catches 5-7 kilometers every day, go come, and she does that 5 times in a week, let's see what that has done to our system. So little worry, little surprise that when she became 60 years old, 50 years old, we had to be putting a lot of ointment on our ankle and knees. Same to you, my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm talking about. If you're above 40, I'm sure you have one thing or the other to talk about, particularly if you're above 50. And of course, without denial, when you are 60. And of course, it's so clear when you are above 70. You need rub, you need tablets, you need to, there's a sleeping posture that you must take, and there are tablets that you must take. So all of these are. So all of these things also have to do with what we call mitochondrial dysfunction. The engine of the body, the powerhouse of the cells of the body is called mitochondria. Now, the efficiency of the mitochondria in the human being is what drives you on, determines your response to issues. Whether you have to run, you have to jump, you have to sit down, you have to climb up, you have to, whatever you have to do. The speed with which you do this is domiciled in the response time that you have. And of course, your response time will reduce with less energy that your mitochondria can supply to your system. And of course, there's also what we call telomere shortening. Now, each cell of the body is made up of, we have chromosomes in our system. The chromosomes make all of you. That you have a baby girl, a baby boy has been determined into either X or Y. The woman has the X, the man has the X and Y, and so on and so forth. So if you are going to have a male child, or you are going to have a female child, you are going to have a tall child, you're going to have a short child, you are going to transmit any disease to your child, which is called something that may run in the family. It is through this chromosomal effect that you transmit, which means that even at the level of the gene, work goes on every day, every hour, every minute, turn into months and years of that you have lived. Therefore, those aspects of our life are also working on daily basis. And then, of course, they get tired too, and they have cellular degradation, they have cellular aging, and they have cellular death. So all of this will snowball into what we call physical decline. When you put all of this together, you will have reduction in muscle mass, you have reduction in bone density, you have reduced reaction time, which can impact daily on your life and increase the risk of falls and fractures. That is why as you get older, you continue to slow down. If you don't slow down, life itself will slow you down. You either slow down on life or life will slow you down. By the time you have fallen 2 times, 3 times, you know that you have to take it easy. And then, of course, if you refuse to slow down, even when life slows you down, what happens is that such people will eventually slump and they will say they die prematurely. There's nothing like that in Islam. Everybody will die at his own time. There's no premature death, but there can be carelessness on the way to death. So we have this physical and physiological decline. Of course, if you have used something repeatedly, you find that the thing would have become wearied, would have become weak, and that also affects all aspects of our life. So, of course, we also have cognitive changes. Aging affects cognitive functions, including memory loss and difficulty concentrating on issues. From the beginning of life, a young girl will have so many millions of cells that are called ovaries before menstruation starts. And then, of course, when it is time for her to get into her telarchy, the cells, by virtue of endocrine secretion, will come into what is now known as menstruation. Menstruation will begin. And then, of course, childbearing may also follow. And when childbearing follows, the cells that produce the each egg at every monthly cycle will continue to work on and on. Therefore, the ovaries work hard every month to produce hundreds of thousands of ova, and out of these ova, we have one or two of them that will become pregnancy, or that will eventually become the blood that comes out as menstruation. So the cells that produces ovary will continue to become weakened, and number of cells reduce until there will be no more cells to come out to produce menstruation or to make the woman get pregnant. And then this cycle is fashioned by some endocrine changes. In the man also has a cycle. The testicles are there. At a point in time, the testicles continue to produce testosterone, and then, of course, you produce sperm, and this sperm is what is joined together with the ovary and the ova in the woman to produce the young fetus that will become a baby, that will become a man or a woman, that will become an old man or an old man eventually. This also have a life expectancy, and after some time, the productivity comes on at the middle age, and then, of course, it begins to decline. The desire to have a woman, the desire to have a man will also decline with reference and relevance and relationship to the level of hormones that are produced. I'm trying to run away from medical jargons, but I just hope I'm making some little sense in the way I'm trying to run away from them. But of course, I still have to mention something because I know there are also other medics that are also on this platform who say, why are you not even just talking medically? So that's why I'm trying to go in and out of medical words. So you will have this as far as that is concerned. We have increased risks as aging progresses, increased risks to chronic diseases. You have lived on and on and on and on and on. In the course of all of this, you would have overdone some things, you would have underdone some things, you would have taken so many risks, you would have escaped some would have left a very, very telling effect on your life. High blood pressure may be familial, may also be something that we look for. Diabetes could be familial, but because it could also be something that you inherit, or it could be something that you look for due to indulgence. That's why we have type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So many of these diseases can be traced to one thing or the other. But we do know that Allah is the one that brings disease into one's life. He's the one that also cures. But what you have done with your body in the past may give you an inkling into what you are going through. So, but the truth is that as we get older, our ability to fight disease also reduces. You can, most of us, when we were in secondary school, I'm sure, remember how many times you have had cuts on your legs, on your toes, and you never had any time to clean them or even put iodine. You never clean any wound. Of course, sometimes you even put sand. I remember I put sand on so many of my wounds when I was in primary school. And of course, Allah was kind enough for me not to have tetanus. But this sand you put there, nothing happens to you. You escape, and that's it. You dare not do that when you get older, because your immune system have reduced in their tenacity. They have reduced in their ability to keep disease at bay. So every small thing will have a telling effect on your system when you get older, because the cells have lost Most of the cells have lost their ability to stand up to the test of time. Of course, we have increased risk of diseases, and that is because we have impaired immune system. The immune system's effectiveness decline with age, making older adults more susceptible to infections. Of course, we live in the world of infection. Even if you say your house is clean, your streets may not be clean. Even if your streets are clean, your community may not be clean. If the community is clean, the state may not be clean, particularly in an environment that we are in when we pay lip services to environmental cleanliness. The advanced nations of the world, they have arrived at a specter of their life where so much is spent on preventive diseases than curative care. They take care of the environment such that there's no environmental degradation. Hardly will you find any filth somewhere. Hardly will you find a gutter that is seeping out a foul odor. Hardly will you find mosquito and flies and all those agents of infection. Hardly will you find them, because they have spent money to cleanse the environment. Here, what happens in your backyard, in your homes, the pots behind you, the used cooking pots, the gutter behind you, the heaps of useless things that we call garbage all over around us make us so vulnerable to infections. And then when you get older, you are less able to fight them because your immune system have been compromised to some extent. So when you have all of this, an elderly person begins to see himself as a weakling. That sets him to begin to think, what is happening? If this is not managed properly, the person goes into psychological and emotional discomfort, which may become a full-blown psychological or psychiatric illness. Unless you are able to say, okay, it has come, I have to take it, and what do I do about it? If you continue to say, it is not me, I reject it. Reject what? Reject your age? Reject that your heart has worked for 60 years that you have lived, and 9 months that you are in your mother's womb. You want to reject that your kidneys have functioned for 71 years that you have lived, and the extra 8 or 9 months that you are in your mother's womb. That your eyes have worked for 45 years that you have lived, that you have read, that you have done thesis, that have read enough to become a professor. You want to deny that? You can't. You can't. And if you are a racer, you have done 120 meters dash, and you have done a miler, you have run around the world. You are now saying that you are denying it, that your knee will complain about those exercises of the past. You can't. They have formed part of you. But Allah be praised that we have all of these things living with us up to the time that we have to leave this world. Your eyes, you will know how many people have changed their eyes, changed their livers, changed their kidneys, changed their skin. Even when you have reasons to change them biomedically, you discover that the replacement is not as good as the one that has been removed. The world is full of so many things now. A lot of things happen. We do cardiac transplant, we do liver transplant, we do kidney transplant, but lo and behold, the replacement is not as good as the one that is replaced. The system is so fraught with danger that even while doing it, person may die. Shortly after it, person may die. The kidney that you have been born with will be there, will not give you any issues. The one that is replaced will continue to give you issues until you die. No, they will never remain plumb and good in your system as the one that has been removed. No. So even when you have lived for 30 years, your kidney is 30 years old. And look at a baby that is 30 years old. Look at your daughter that is 25 years old. So you see that those bodily changes, the biological changes that you will see in that child that is growing, but we always want to deny it, that the same changes would have affected and have occurred in the systems of our body, because we want to remain healthy all the while. So, brothers and sisters, as we get older, we have irreversible changes in our system. But as much as we cannot do anything about it, as I'll delve seriously more in the lecture that will come after here, some things will make it worse or make it better. When you get older, you become highly opinionated, you become assertive, you demonstrate anger, disagreement with your wife, children, friends, and this will lead to emotional crisis. It may make you to withdraw from people at a time that you need them most. Then loneliness comes, and that has its own tails, and you have it over and over again. Of course, when you get married, there's a way you started your life with your wife and your husband. There could be marital bruises, there could be marital wounds, there could have been marital dislocation or marital fractures, or you could have had marital amputation somewhere along the line. But if Allah keeps both of you alive and well up to your old age, what you remember about yourself will affect you most psychologically and most emotionally. And you'll be less able to cope with yourself, or you'll be a source of succor to yourself. So in all of this, you can have separation, anxiety, depression, disorientation. And then, of course, some people are so bad that when they get into all of these psychological problems, they're labeled as witches and wizards. So we have all of this, and all of these things are traced to hormones of the body. Let me just quickly talk about the hormones. Oh, time. Oh, no. The endocrine system is made up of organs and tissues that produce hormones. These hormones are natural chemicals produced in one location, released into the bloodstream, and they may affect other organs at other parts of the body. It's an amazing thing. You have pituitary hormones, growth hormones, thyroid hormones, reproductive hormones, all of them. We have organs like the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parotid gland. We have the adrenal gland. We have the pancreas. These are all organs of the body that produce hormone. All of these things have specific functions that they perform in the body to make you eat, to make you drink, to make you sleep, to make you wake up, to make you respond to fears and anger, to make you to calm down, or to make you to get worried, to make you to respond adequately, to make you to become bold, and then, of course, to instill fear into you. All of these things come together to affect your exact human being, whatever you are. So you are not an island. As you stand up, as you listen to me now, I don't know how much of the hormones of your body are being secreted in relation even to this lecture. If you find this lecture touching, you find some of the adrenal gland trying to make sure that it produces more for you. And if whatever you feel about this lecture is affecting your system, so that some hormones are being secreted in relation to what you are listening to. The same way, relationship with your wife, relationship with your husband, relationship with your children, relationship with your neighbors, relationship with your co-brothers and sisters, relationship within the community. And then, of course, your work relationship, your work environment. And if indeed you are a crisis manager, then you are also most prone to a lot of hormonal changes within your system. So what we have discussed so far are results of what Allah has decreed, and they are brought into manifestation by endocrine secretions that affect the organs of the body. And each organ of the body is affected by what happens in the cells that make up each of the organs. And then when these organs come together, what they do to the body is what you see on the surface of the body. We should now talk about visual defects, hearing defects, mobility problem, and all that. I want to stop here so that we can have some interaction between now and in the next 15 minutes that we have. By the grace of God, inshallah, at the next one, I'm going to talk about the emotional and psychological aspect of aging. May Allah make it better understood than I presented it. Your brother, Dr. Kushima. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Yes, thank you very much. We don't know how to thank you. Can you imagine when a non-expert is asked to talk about this matter? Who can do it better than the experts? We really appreciate Dr. Kushima. Jazakallah khairan. He has told us that he's coming back. This is just the introduction. He may stay with us for a while. We want to hand over to the coordinator, Engineer Abdulwasi, for interaction before we call on the national coordinator. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, sir. Yes,
Yes.
alhamdulillah. Again, thank you to Dr. Kushima. May Allah preserve you on Kairat. Yes, brothers and sisters, I know we have reactions, comments, questions to ask. Can they signify your intention to do any of those by raising your digital hand so that you can be identified and be asked to unmute? You can ask questions, you can add, you can give information, you can seek clarifications. Let us enrich the discussion, please. Okay. Let us be brief. Alhaj Abdulakim Oketokun, you can unmute and ask your question briefly. Unmute, please. Alhaj Oketokun.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Briefly.
Briefly.
We are hearing you briefly, please.
Okay, just a clarification. When you said our eyes has been with us since when we were in our mother's womb till now. But if that is the case, and you also said that you give example of the red blood cell, that they die at a particular 120 days or thereabout. Is not the same thing not happening to the cells in these organs like our eyes? Because we started with two cells, one from our mother, one from our father. It becomes one. Later on, it started dividing, which means the original two cells died at a particular time to produce four. So can we also say that every time we are changing? That is, Akim 20 years ago is no more Akim today, because everything about me has changed, because all the cells in me have all changed. So that's the clarification I want. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Dr. Kushima, sir. Or is it that he has left? Dr. Kushima, you can unmute and respond to that question.
Yes, I've been trying. I said the host is not allowing me to unmute. Yes, I must thank my brother for that brilliant and academic question. Yes, the two cells that came from father and mother, when they met, they become one. And what happened after that, you have what we call mitosis. You have the cells 2 becoming 4, 4 becoming 8, 8 becoming 16, 16 becoming 32, 32 becoming 64, and so on exponentially. You now produce what we call pluripotential cells at the beginning of life. These pluripotential cells will now become the liver, the kidney, the hand, the eye, the nose, and the rest of them. So each cells go into their area of best. So whatever number of cells that become the cells of the eye, they will also continue to divide. So the example I've given you, that of red blood cell, it is not that the red cells will die. Every day you produce red cells. So the one you produce today will die in 120 days times. The one you produced yesterday will have 119 days left. The one you are going to produce tomorrow still have 0 life. You produce them tomorrow, they have 120. So they hand over to themselves. So at any point in time, the number of cells that you have remains same. Now, your liver. The livers are most irreplaceable. They divide, but they live within a confined environment. The cells of the liver are not like others, like the red blood cells. They divide most minimally. Imagine your liver becoming as big as your thigh. No, it's the biggest organ in the body, but it cannot be allowed to grow beyond your tummy. Otherwise, you have a problem with the weight that it will be in your system. So the cells are being allowed to produce in a way that will not bring discomfort to you. But of course, cells do die from every organ every day. They are replaced every day, but Allah has never allowed a time for any cell to die enough to have no replacement and for none of them to be there to function. I hope that is understood. So at any point in time, you have enough cell to function in any organ. And because once you produce, they die, you have enough to give you function of that organ at any particular point in time of your life. Hello, hope that explanation is understood.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other question, any other clarification? Dr. Kusimo, sir, while we are waiting,
yes, I can hear you.
Can we say that the malfunctioning of any of the organs of the body or any ill situation that happens to them, what is actually responsible? Is it that the cells are not, the dead one are not being replaced enough, or what is actually causing illness to some of these organs of the body that might eventually affect the entire body?
Yes, thank you. Well, let's look at them one after the other. One is a natural consequence. A cell that has been produced comes out very very vigorous, very good, and is ready to move around like a young boy. Your young liver is able to digest food, produce a lot of enzyme, and you're able to digest faster. That's why you're able to take 4 wraps of amala and 6 wraps of fufu. And because your liver is there to quickly do everything, your stomach is digesting the food and all that and all that. But as you get older, the stomach enzyme and the digestive enzyme, they are produced in less quantity. And the digestive machine are also weaker because of what they have done in the past years. So all of this will come together to make you less able to finish 4 wraps of amala. That's why if you take 6 wraps of amala at your age, you go to bed and you'll be turning from one side of the bed to the other and saying, And they say, what is happening? They say, there's no problem. But of course, you know there's a problem because you had overeaten. So what diseases are caused when most of the time, either because they are acquired, which we call congenital, because some people are born with some natural deformity, or because we acquire those diseases. For instance, malaria is acquired. For instance, typhoid is acquired. Sometimes, for instance, you have infections, bacterial infections, or viral infections, some of them are acquired. But of course, some people who have diabetes, not because they acquired it, but because it is genetic. It has been handed over to them by their grandparents or their foreparents and the rest of them. Some people have some diseases like that. So you can have that as a result of either genetic disposition or because you acquire them. And then most of those ones that are acquired, some of them, they are inadvertent. I mean, if you live in an environment that we are in here, and you drink poor water, you'll be a customer to typhoid, be a customer to diarrhea and vomiting, be a customer to cholera. So all of these things are the reason why we have diseases. But what we are saying in terms of aging is that whatever your age is, you have less ability to cope with those diseases. You have less ability to protect yourself and fight those diseases without the assistance of drugs or medical personnel as you get older. So what you could have just thrown away and not felt the effect of when you were younger, you definitely feel the effects and you suffer for them when you are older. So it is not that disease is anything that is so sacrosanct in one's life. I remember one of our fathers, Baba Agbola, may Allah continue to give him, grant him forgiveness. Baba was 94 when he died. If the man shakes your hand, you have to go and put rub. If you know Abeokuta very well, Baba will trek from his cement shop at Olomori to Totoro post office to collect his mails from the post office box. But of course, that distance, there is no way I will do that. I won't attempt it. And I'm sure most people who are even younger will not try to attempt. So Allah has given life, has given diseases, has given ability and disability, so that everybody will say, Allahu Akbar, that only He is the greatest, only He could have done that. Thank you.
Allahu Akbar. Yes. Finally, for question or reaction side, let us have Mr. Shamsuddin Ladifam.
Old man, let old man talk.
Yes.
Man,
You can unmute, sir. You can unmute and ask your question, sir. Daddy, the farm.
Salam alaikum, sir. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Thank you for this beautiful lecture. Wallahi, old age is turning on us. Thank you for the lecture. Thank you for everybody. Now, my question is, it is too easy that we are going to be aged. How can we maintain old age standard now? Can I come with this, sir? Hello?
Dr.
Hello?
Kushima,
We are
you will
hearing you,
explain.
sir.
Yeah. Oh, what's now, sir? I really appreciate this, and this could really have come from an elderly person. Old age standards. Let's talk about old age standard. The standard that you want to call old age is a standard that is known to only you. When we say old age standard, it means you are going to be different from people who are younger than you are, and that is the reason I will delve much into this in my next presentation, maybe next week if that is time they want me to come back. You see, you naturally want to say no. I remember the first time somebody called me Baba. I was driving along Olomori, and the man was trying to drive wrongly. It was rough, and I slowed down and said, Baba, I say Suru now. And I asked, would you have been talking to me? When did I become Baba? And of course, this thing comes, old age, you just come and sit down by your side. And people will say, Baba, I say, who is the Baba? But old age will tell you, I've been here with you. I've affected your eyes, your nose, your thinking, and all that. So old age standard comes with its own assets and liabilities. Your virtues would have changed. Your pluses would have changed. Your negatives would have changed. And it would have been different totally from people who are in the current of time. The young people have different level of cognition, different level of appreciation, different level of thinking, different level of acceptance. But you are in a different world. Therefore, you always have this issue that you continue to disagree with them. But unfortunately, you are going to be assertive and aggressive. And if that's not properly managed, you become a lonely person. People just feel it, just leave him alone. And that leaving him alone will drive you into loneliness. So when we say old age values, we are saying that the person has become aged, has become weaker, has seen so much, has become wiser. He should be patient, should be resilient, should be prayerful, should be closer to Allah, and he should be patient with people who are coming from behind him. What he sees, they don't see. And because he sees those things, he must be patient enough to explain to them so that they can buy into his own vision. So only his age mates will understand what he says. People who are not his age mates will say, what is Baba saying? Baba is up. When you say, Baba and Mama, don't tell him, if you tell him now, he will say, that is the problem. But the old age value, they are the best for people who have received guidance from Allah. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan, sir. Yeah, before I call on the national coordinator for his closing remark, I just want to bring something that happened yesterday. Like doctor have been telling us, as you continue to grow, you continue to age. That is the correlation. One of our staff who is going to retire in about 3 months' time, after Salatu asked yesterday, he just stood up in the mosque and started observing Nafil. People now call, Baba, why are you observing Nafil after us? He said, is he asking that I have observed or Zuhr? And we all observe Zuhr together. He came to observe Aspi and started observing Nafil after Aspi and calling it, thinking that he just observed Zuhr. It is unavoidable. It is part of the aging process. May Allah preserve all of us and give us Sunday. We are once again grateful to you. I will call on the national coordinator, Alhaji Muslim Kafa, by closing remarks, please.
Okay, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
In fact, we cannot thank Allah enough for all these favors He has done upon us, giving us this caliber of people as Muslim. By Allah's grace within our organization. For your information, Dr. Robi Kusuma is a NC Emeritus. He's the first NC, the pioneer NC, National Coordinator of the Front of Nigeria, and he held that position for so long with Imam. So we thank Allah that despite his very, very tight, which I know, very tight schedule. I know his schedule are very, very tight. He has come home today to come and talk to us. And I pray Almighty Allah to accept this as act of ibadah for him. May Allah continue to preserve him in goodness, and may He give perfect his health, and let his progeny and the next generation be better than him. We appreciate you, sir, and we still hope we are going to expect you. If Imam wants you to come back next week, definitely you are going to come back. But I think Imam will be able to say whether it is next week or any other time. Likewise, thank our Imam, who has been there for us for years. We pray Almighty Allah to continue to perfect your affairs, to preserve your goodness, and make you to be the apple of our eyes. Imam, all of us meet in Al-Jannah. I thank everybody on this call today, because without you, there's nothing we can achieve. So we thank you for coming to this class every Tuesday, not minding any impediment, especially our brothers in the diaspora who are always at the odd time, and they don't even mind that they want to be part of this call. We pray Almighty Allah to replenish your resources and make us to live this world in peace, in the goodness, and as well enter the Jannah of Allah. We pray Allah to be with all of us. Jazakumullah khairan. Till next week, pray Almighty Allah to be with us. Over to Engineer Du. If you need to call Imam.
Imam, sir, over to you, sir.
MashaAllah, thank you, everybody. May Allah reward you abundantly. Dr. Kushima has pledged to come back next week. We cannot afford to miss this lecture now. We will have forgotten. So it is next week, inshallah ta'ala. And if he does not finish, he will come back again. I'm sure he will come back. May Allah reward everybody abundantly. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا ذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening attention. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakumullah khairan.
Wa ayakum, my brother. Thank you.
No, that's all right.